بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
He asked him, what is the price of this shoe? He was wearing a shoe. And he asked him what the price of this shoe was. And he says, the response comes, it's nothing. Imam Ali says, no, it's a little bit more than that. He says, okay, maybe 1-2 dirham, nothing more than that. Imam Ali says, this shoe is worth more to me than the whole khilafah, unless I can use the khilafah and establish justice with it. The idea being that when we say Karbala as the crucible for practical mysticism, it is the idea that we are inheritors of a tradition that says that the shoe is worth more to Ali ibn Abi Talib than the whole Khilafah, unless he establishes justice with it. Unless he uses it to establish justice. What a great blessing it is for us to say that we are Shias of that man. That man. About whom Rasulullah himself says, Man kuntu mawlah fahada aliyun mawla. That if you accept me as your master, you have to accept Ali as your master. What does this Mawla mean? Some Muslims have said that Mawla in this instance meant friend. But if you look at the context of the hadith itself, you will realize that it means nothing else except master. Nothing else except master. Why is it that there was such a rift in the Muslim world with regards to the meaning of this tradition? Why? Because when you look at it, apparently speaking, it looks like there is a misunderstanding that occurs. You see, the word, there's a difference between Mawla and Wali. Recite salawat, please. There's a difference between wala and wila in the Arabic language. Wala means guardianship. Wali means friendship. When Rasulullah says, Man kuntu mawla fahada aliyun mawla, it means directly that if you accept Ali as if you accept Rasulullah as your companion, you have to accept Imam Ali as your companion. If you accept Rasulullah as the head of the ship, then you have to accept Imam Ali as the head of the ship as well. That is the message of Islam. That is the message of Ghadir. That is the message of Rasulullah from the beginning to the very end of his messengership. You see, the idea was that Rasulullah did not just deliver this message once. He delivered it many times. The first time being Da'wat Zul Ashira. Da'wat Zul Ashira was the first time Rasulullah mentioned Imam Ali as his successor, and the end was Ghadir. Ghadir. The idea being again that if you accept Rasulullah, you have to accept Imam Ali as your master. Unconditional. Fahada aliyun mawla, meaning look, when you use the word fa or the prefix fa, that means that there's no gap in time. It's foreign, it's immediate. Immediate, meaning the second Rasulullah closes his eyes, you have to accept Ali as your master for salvation. You have to do that. What is this that we hear in the Muslim world that says that when Rasulullah really meant master, They translate it as friend. What a sidelining of the reputation of Mawla Amir al-Mu'mineen it is. To say that Rasulullah just meant friend instead of master. What a nonsensical statement it is. When Rasulullah says Mawla, you have to accept him as your Mawla, regardless of what opinions you might have otherwise. Recite a salawat, please. After all, we are inheritors of that great man, Ali ibn Abi Talib. The man, the conqueror of Khaybar, the one who won the battle of Ahzab for the sake of Islam. And look what happens to his family. Tonight I want to talk to you about another Ali, Ali al-Asghar. Ali al-Asghar. I want to talk to you about that Ali, the 6-month-old baby, Ali al-Asghar. It is said that when Imam al-Hussein was leaving for Karbala, it is said that he had a 6-month-old baby. The baby wasn't 6 months old, he was 14 days old, according to some traditions. All of Ali al-Asghar's life basically was spent in that last journey from Karbala to Kufa, and then from Kufa to Karbala. From Medina to Kufa, and from Kufa to Karbala. All of his life is spent in this last journey of his. Ali al-Asghar, it is said that when Abu Abdullah al-Hussein had nobody left, when he had nobody left, there was no more Abbas, there was no more Qasim, there was no more Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, there was no more Habib ibn Madahir. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein went up to the enemies and he made a call. That call transcended all time. He says, Hal min nasirin yansuruna. Is there anyone to help us? Is there anyone to help the haram of Rasulullah? Yet none of the enemies responded to this call. Who responded? A 6-month-old baby. Ali al-Asghar responded. Who responded? The 6-month-old child of Imam al-Hussein. What did he do? It is said that when Imam al-Hussein made this call, he heard the women started to cry and wail. So he went back to the tent and he finds out that the baby, Ali al-Asghar, has fallen off his cradle. Ali al-Asghar has fallen off his cradle. Ali al-Asghar has fallen off his cradle. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein knew that Ali al-Asghar wanted to say labbaik to his father. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein knew that Ali al-Asghar wanted to say, Father, I am with you today, Father. None of the enemies are here to help you. I am with you today, Father. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, he takes this little baby, Ali al-Asghar, and he takes him to the enemies. He says, look, if there is any fault, it's my fault. If there's anyone to blame, I am to blame. This baby is innocent. Give him some water. Give him some water. But the enemies, they decided not to give in to Imam al-Hussein's request. What happened then? What happened then was he says, look, if you want, I will put this baby on the ground. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein says, I will put this baby on the ground. You take him, give him some water. You take him, give him some water. But still the enemies say, it is said that the Abu Abdullah al-Hussein put Ali and al-Asghar on the ground. But none of the enemies relented. They never gave in to Abu Abdullah al-Husayn's request. What happened? Abu Abdullah al-Husayn took Ali and al-Asghar back, and he says to Ali and al-Asghar, my son, my words have no effect on them. Do something that maybe you can help yourself get some water. Maybe you can get some water. Abu Abdullah al-Husayn, he makes this request to his son. Ali and al-Asghar turns to the enemies, and he rubs his parched, dry tongue on his even drier lips. Finally, some of the enemies relent. They say, no, Ali and al-Asghar should be given some water. At that time, Umar ibn Sa'ad, hearing the dissent from his forces, he says to Harmala, kill the words of Hussein. Kill the words of Hussein. Harmala takes a 3-pronged arrow. In some rawaya, it is said that the arrow pierced the ear of Ali and al-Asghar. In other riwayah, it is said that the arrow pierced the neck of Ali and al-Asghar. I will tell you that both these riwayah are correct, because if it's a 3-headed arrow, then one part of the arrow pierced the ear, and the other head of the arrow pierced the neck of Ali and al-Asghar. Abu Abdullah al-Husayn, he takes Ali and al-Asghar. He wants to go back to the tent, but he doesn't know how he's going to face Rabab, how he's going to face Rabab. So it is said that he goes 7 times from the riverbank to the tents, back and forth, saying, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un lidhanbi qada'ihi wa tasliman li amrih. That from God we come and to God is our return. Abu Abdullah al-Husayn wants them to know that Ali and al-Asghar is no more. When he comes back to the tent, after the 7th time of going back and forth, it is said that he was covering Ali and al-Asghar's wound with a piece of cloth. Sakina, she comes up to her father. She says, Father, did my brother Ali and al-Asghar get water? Father, I was thirsty as well. Abu Abdullah al-Husayn shows her what happened to the son Ali and al-Asghar. He shows him what happened to Ali and al-Asghar, and all of a sudden Rabab comes in. It says Rabab saw this, and she made this statement, Amithluka yudhar. Is this how they treat a 6-month-old baby? Is this what that happens to Ali and al-Asghar? Is this how they treat the 6-month-old baby? Abu Abdullah al-Husayn goes. He goes to the back of the tent. Lady Zainab comes, and she says, Brother, give me the body. You bury Ali and al-Asghar. Ali and al-Asghar, Imam al-Husayn buries Ali Asghar. And it is said that when he is about to bury him, he says, look, son, usually it's customary that when somebody is buried, they pour water over his grave. They pour water over his grave. Ali ibn al-Asghar, son, I don't have any water. Imam al-Husayn cries so much that his tears drenched the grave of Ali ibn al-Asghar. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.